Senator, welcome. Give us your assessment of the first 10 days of the battle with Iran.
Hi, Hugh. It's just great to be with you. First of all, I support the president and the administration's actions that they've taken on Iran. This is a state sponsor of terrorism around the world. They are a threat to our country. So I think that the actions that are being taken have been good. First of all, we've been given briefings a number of times. We just had another classified briefing this morning on the Armed Services Committee about what's happening, how it's progressing. But the administration's been clear, as I said, on those military objectives, and that's to make sure that Iran does not get a nuclear weapon. It's also to destroy their ballistic missile capability. Right now, that's short-range and medium-range capabilities that those ballistic missiles have. But looking forward, it would be a year, maybe two, before Iran would have an ICBM, an intercontinental ballistic missile. That can't happen. That would put Europe in play for them. It would be dangerous. And then it's just a hop, skip, and a jump until they would threaten the United States. So we need to take out those capabilities. And then the third one was to be able to destroy their Navy. And we've seen a lot of accomplishment there. Over 30, 40 ships have been taken out of action. And that's important due to the Straits of Hormuz and commerce. We need to make sure that commerce can still travel safely through that area. And by taking out their Navy, taking out their ballistic missiles, that's going to help us to make that a safe passage once again.
Senator Fisher, your colleague, Senator Blumenthal from Connecticut, is a Democrat. He came down to talk to reporters today and said he'd been in a classified briefing and he believed we were preparing to send ground troops to Iran. I don't know where he got that. Have you heard that?
Senator Blumenthal was in the same briefing that I was in. Now, Hugh, I don't talk about what we discuss in classified briefings, but I can tell you that was not my understanding. And I was there throughout the major part of the briefing, including Senator Blumenthal's questions that he asked. And I specifically asked some questions related to ground troops as well. As we both know, and as your listeners know, the Department of War makes plans for many contingencies that are out there. We want that to happen. We want to be able to have our military look at what the objectives are in any area to achieve, and then what steps they would take, and then to practice on those. But it's up to the commander-in-chief. It's up to President Trump to determine when those plans, or if those plans, are ever going to be put into practice. We saw that with Venezuela and learned later that that was a plan that had been in place for many years, as well as the 12-day war with Iran when we did the bombing of their nuclear facilities. So I think I would never have phrased that the way that Senator Blumenthal tried to phrase it with the press.
Now, I'd like to move on to the cost. It's obviously large, and it's going to be getting larger and perhaps into the hundreds of billions. So usually in wartime, in time of a battle or a conflict, the United States Congress would vote a supplemental appropriation. I don't think the Democrats will support that. They're against this battle. I'm not even sure they want us to win this battle. But what about using reconciliation, Senator? That would require the budget committees of both houses to agree on a top line, on a DOD line, on and then come to your committee of authorization, and then to appropriation. Is that a simple majority? Is that on the table?
You know, I think we need to look at everything. This is important that we are able to pass additional funding to cover the expenses that we're going to have in protecting our national security by taking out, as I mentioned earlier, a number of the objectives that are listed in Iran that we need to take out. We'll see what happens. The Speaker Johnson, has talked about doing reconciliation in the House. We'll see if they're able to do that. I guess, Hugh, I still have hopes that we can get a supplemental done. I think the more information that the administration can give us here in the Senate, especially when we're trying to work through this, and then also in the House, giving us that information so that we can have a better understanding of what they're doing moving forward. So I still have some hope for a supplemental. I think there's different ways that we can put one together and maybe address other issues besides just looking at Iran itself.
Last question, Senator. I have not heard one Democrat unequivocally embrace the idea of winning, of having this regime, which is a malign and evil presence and has been for 47 years, fall. Have you heard any Democrat advocate for it? By whatever means it comes about, popular revolution, a coup inside the regime itself, it cracks, whether or not we kill every mullah that ever wants to be the supreme leader. I don't know how it is, but does any Democrat speak in terms of winning and what an unqualified good that would be for the world and for the people of Iran?
I haven't heard them say that. What I've heard from every Democrat is they always begin by saying, we're glad the Ayatollah was taken out. He was an evil man. He needed to be gone. But, and then they go on in not in a supportive way for the actions that this administration has taken in addressing it. We've seen 47 years of Republican and Democrat administrations say that Iran is a threat to this country. They've killed hundreds of Americans. They sponsor terrorists around the world. We are not safe because of the actions that they have. And they were continuing to work on developing, enriching uranium, developing a nuclear weapon, continuing to work on their ballistic missiles and also to get an ICBM. And yet, we don't seem to hear that I was going to say full-throated support from Democrats, but any kind of support from Democrats saying, this is necessary. This has to happen. God bless our troops. God bless our commander-in-chief for stepping forward and finally taking action to remove this evil, horrible, threatening, world-threatening regime that only wanted to become more and more emboldened so they could blackmail the world.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.